Yes, it's my birthday, so I'm going to take the opportunity today to talk about my birthday wishes for the country and what the heck we're doing politically and civically and everything else on today's version of Get Right with Lenny McAllister, starting right
now. Get Right with Lenny McAllister.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The way we help bring back America and we build the bridges and bring people together is by making sure we hold everybody accountable in a 360 fashion. So let me close with this. Yes, there is a change that we can believe in, but it will never come from a politician or a government program. We got to move away from the American Idol soundbite nature of politics and back to the American statesman of humble servant leadership that we used to see in politics. It is time to reel in government. It is time to roll out the era of the new American citizen. If we can continue to get some common sense governing from both sides of the aisle, we can finally get Americans through the recession, not just Wall Street. We need people that can change the crisis that we're seeing, and that's why, as a proud Republican, I go through the jail ministry. I speak to the kids in the streets. So I'm never going to lay down being a Republican or being a conservative, just as much as I'll never lay down being a proud African American.
I feel like a black Republican. Money I got coming in, can't turn my back on the
First of all of the folks that have been wishing me happy birthday on Facebook and on Twitter and text and emails, I just want to say thank you very, very much. For those of you that decided to go to North Korea to sing me happy birthday, please don't do that next year. And I'm not just talking about the North Korea part. I'm talking about the singing part too. So I appreciate everybody. For those of you that meet the second part of that, just please don't. It's quite okay. It's a little much. It's a little hard on the ears. It's a little hard on Chris Cuomo of CNN. It's a little hard on Charles D. Smith, who was like, please don't let me go on another trip like this. But I appreciate the sentiment. Listen, folks, it's you and me once again leading off the week and leading off another year for me, if you will, of life. So I want to say thank you, and thank you to another edition of Get Right with Lenny McAllister. You know the drill. Very simple. On Twitter, you know where to find me. LENNYMCALLISTER. On Facebook, 2 pages. Same dude, same opportunity for you and me to vibe and go back and forth. So take advantage of it. Many of you do that. I talk to folks as far away as California. Some people around the world. Got my Danish cousin, who I probably will hear from today. I mean, I'm not going to really go into the typical, prototypical Lenny venting or talking or explaining or anything else that generally transpires during the 22-minute or so podcast. But I am going to touch on several things. One, it's very interesting to have a Danish cousin. Now, many of you have had a Danish with your coffee. I'm not talking about a pastry. I actually have a first cousin that is from Denmark. He, long story short, he's my uncle's child, and his dad and my mom were siblings, and he's a little older than me. He was adopted. Knew of him, never had a chance to meet him until 1999, and we've been close ever since. And politically, we cannot be further apart. We cannot be further apart. He looks at the progressives in America and calls them right wing. That tells you how liberal some liberals are in Europe. So if it were all about the political labels, and by the way, when I tell you these things, when I tell you that America can heal past the political debates and competition and differences of perspective, there are ways to get past this. These are the type of examples I go back to. I have a Danish cousin. Now, mind you, he's not going to vote on anything here in America. And the only reason why I'm bringing my cousin up is because I fully expect him to call me at some point in time. And it's so funny because he can speak 5 languages, but you could hear him trying to translate you could hear him trying to translate what he wants to say into English. So he'll hesitate, and then you get, boom, 20 words all at once. And it's kind of cool. It's a fascinating experience. And that's why I brought Jacob up. But my point is, We couldn't be further apart politically. And because more Europeans know about American politics than Americans know about any type of political structure in Europe, by and large. I mean, I know that I know stuff and you know stuff and people like us know stuff. But if you ask the average person living in Europe versus the average person living in the United States about the other's political system, by and large, the American's going to go, huh? What? Is that where Obama went last week? And that's going to be the extent of the conversation, where the typical European's going to be able to tell you about Obama, Biden, Clinton, the Republicans, the Tea Party, things along those lines. Maybe not a whole lot of stuff, but enough to make you go, oh, wow, this is kind of interesting. They do pay attention. I fully expect to hear from my Danish cousin today, which is really, really cool to have an opportunity to talk to him. It probably won't be until later on in the day, but you know what? I love hearing from him anyway. But it's examples like that remind me about what this past year has been for me and the challenges that I think that we can basically grasp together as an American people and move forward with. It's been a very, really odd, interesting type of year. 2013 for me was just in a lot of ways. A lot of just good surprises and just surprises. I mean, on the top end of the good surprises would be I had another child, had my last child. And for everybody that sits there and has the audacity to tell somebody that's 41 years old, how do you know you're not having another child? Let me assure you, at 41 years old and a wife that is not 26, I assure you we're not having another child. The end. So it's not to be anything to be offensive about. Just my baby, Lincoln Nolan, he had the opportunity to win the last child of the family award. That's all there is to it. But I mean, that's on the high end of the scale. High end of the scale to see my son start high school. To be able to come back to my native Pennsylvania, which was both great and unexpected. Same, obviously, with Nolan. Being 41 years old, you don't expect to change diapers. Unless if that's, a nephew or a niece or something along those lines of somebody that's a lot younger than you. But hey, it is what it is. I had other experiences in Chicago before we left that just were invaluable. The people that I had a chance to meet and connect with, and, anti-violence marches on the south side of Chicago with people that you love, for communities that you love, with people that you connect with. I mean, as a black Republican, they don't expect you to do that, period. They don't expect you to hang out with Jesse Jackson or Michael Flager. They don't expect you to talk to the Muslims of the Nation of Islam and have anything in common to be able to try to broker some solutions. Does not mean, and again, this goes back to my cousin in Denmark, my Danish cousin versus, you're sitting there wiping your mouth after you're drinking your coffee. You're like, dude, I'm hungry. Stop. You're blowing my New Year's resolution. I'm trying to put these pastries down, but they're so good. Look, if I got to eat a cake that a 4-year-old's going to make, which means it's either going to be really, really good because my wife helped him, but there's going to be any birthday cake that a 4-year-old makes, and I know I told you I'm not really talking about politics today. I kind of will sort of talk about my wishes for the year as I reflect upon the year, but it's my birthday. I'm just doing this. I'm just going to think and reflect and just kind of vibe with you one to one, man to woman, man to man, person to person, child of God to child of God, if you will. Anytime you eat a birthday cake that's going to be co-authored, cooked, helped out with, supervised even, because with a 4-year-old, you kind of don't want them doing everything. You want them to kind of do a little bit, but supervise, quote unquote, the process. If that 4-year-old's involved in cooking that birthday cake, there's going to be an extra ingredient somewhere. So the question ends up being, at that point in time, it's going to be extra butter. My wife bought M&Ms. She bought 3 packs of 70-cent M&Ms at the store to put on this cake, and my son is ecstatic. It started out with 2 little bags of M&Ms, and then, of course, because, again, the 4-year-old is supervising this, it became 3 packs of M&Ms. Is this cake going to just have M&Ms everywhere where you can't see the icing? Are the M&Ms going to be in the cake itself? So every time you bite into a piece of cake, you are chewing on what could be very, very delicious M&M chocolate? Or could just be way too many M&Ms? Is the icing going to taste too much like sugar? Is the cake going to be a little bit too doughy? Because my wife can cook. She is fantastic. She can cook. She can bake. People that look at me and they say, you look like you're no older than about 30. How in the world can you have a kid in college? It's because my wife does that to me. She makes me happy. She's a prayer warrior. And she can cook and bake in a way that is so flavorful but healthy for me. So here's the day that I have, and I'm not 30, I'm not 28. Here's the day where somebody else that doesn't quite have that same perspective on life, but has a love for me because I'm their dad, wants to help out with this cake. So I'm sitting here looking at this, and as I'm looking at everything on my birthday, I told you about my cousin, my Danish cousin that will be calling me at some point in time. He may Skype, he may call. That's really what the controversy is. Is he going to Skype me or is he going to call me on the phone? We'll see how that goes. That's number one. Number two, what does this birthday cake look like, taste like? What is it going to do? Is it going to be too sweet, too sour, too many M&Ms, too crunchy, too doughy? Is it going to be 3 times the height that it's supposed to be? What is this cake going to be like? I will not focus on this tomorrow. I will not focus on this Tuesday, but I will give you an update because I'm curious. Because this is the first year that my son can actually sing me happy birthday and actually sing the whole song by himself. Could he do it yet last year? Yes. But he was kind of preoccupied with, hurry up, I want to blow out the candles. I want some cake. I want some ice cream. Come on. And by the way, why does mommy's belly look like that? I know there's a baby in there, but seriously, why does it look like that? That's where we were this time last year. This year's a little different. That's the other thing. This birthday cake, I'm curious as to whether or not he's going to be shoving cake into this 9-month-old's face, or if this 9-month-old is going to want to eat cake. These are all things that I am going to be reflecting upon throughout the day. But back to stuff that we all can share nationally. You know, I look at the last year. I know it was an odd year for me, politically, civically, domestically where I lived, adding to my family, everything else. But really, as we go through 2014, and the good thing about having a January birthday is you can kind of match up your birthday resolutions for the following year with your New Year's resolutions. It's kind of an opportunity to basically take a 12, 13 day break and say, okay, this is what I'm going to start for the new year, and I'll start it and I will give myself a pause button so that A, if I'm doing it, I can take a little bit of a break around my birthday, and B, if I haven't quite started it yet, like exercising or some of the other things that I said I was going to do this year, read more, or things along those lines, I can say, I'm going to take a small break, and I will recalibrate and really take off jaunting after the 13th. Nationally, if you look at the things that we are going through nationally, where are we when it comes to, for example, working together on some of these daggone legislative maneuvers? When it comes to creating jobs, when it comes to making healthcare reform work. Now, I know conservatives might be out there saying, we don't want Obamacare to work. We want healthcare reform to work. Whether that's a full repeal of Obamacare, whether that's a morphed Obamacare. No one's ever said, what happens if you hyphenate Obamacare and you make it like OBC, Obama Boehner Care? What happens if you make it into something that's completely different in some regards to what you have now, but better overall? Is that okay? Is it still Obamacare at that point in time? These are the things that, as I look at my birthday, as I look at what I need to quote unquote resolve for those resolutions for the next year of my life, these are birthday wishes that I have. How can we deal with Obamacare and still have real health care reform, including health care cost reform? That's still something nobody's really talked about in a very tangible way. We've talked about it, we touch upon it, but the whole purpose of health care reform was more access, lower cost. Costs are not going down for many, many, many people. Some people have more access. A lot of people are getting kicked off their plans. My birthday wish for 2014 is that we can have true healthcare reform, real reform that works across the diversity of America. Another birthday wish. I've been saying this repeatedly. I said it again on Al Jazeera America on Sunday, just yesterday. I really, and again, of course, your feedback, Twitter, Facebook, you know where to find me. I'm just going to continue to list some of this stuff off. I really wish that the Republicans would have found a way to get the UI extension done, unemployment insurance done in December. Do it for 30 days, get through January, and then have this argument while people had a safety net through the holidays, through the beginning of the new year. Now what you're looking, I didn't argue this on PCNC, Pittsburgh Cable News Channel. I've argued this on Al Jazeera America. I've argued this on Sun News Network. I've argued this on my editorials for the McAllister Minute. I put this in print. So I'm there with it. I'm not somebody that just willy-nilly spends. I am a fiscal hawk for the most part. I am extremely frugal, which, by the way, anytime I'm saying the big gift that I'm going to get is spending time with my family, which is priceless, by the way. That absolutely is priceless. But the other tangible material birthday gift that I'm going to get is a cake that a 4-year-old's going to co-author, co-bake, and supervise. That tells you I don't really need much. I'm not a big spending type of person, whether it's for myself or it's for what I think America needs. I don't mind spending the money, but you have to do it in an efficient way. This money should have been spent the right way. In 2014, throughout my birthday and beyond, I want common sense solutions for things that are gimme things. Find a way to pay for it. Give the proposals. You know, what do they say on a used car lot? I'm going to make it hard for you to say no. I'm going to make it impossible for you to say no. There's no way you can say no. I'm going to say no when you say no. You're going to take this deal. You're going to love this deal. You got to, at some point in time, be able to, as Republicans, start putting things in place like that still make sense for the American people, but the Democrats just cannot say no to. That's my wish. That's when you start doing better from a legislative perspective, whether it's on the local level, state level, even though, let's be honest, if you live in an urban environment, Republicans really don't have much to do with your life until you turn on the national cable networks. They just don't. But on a state level, I can see it. Here in Pennsylvania, you do. South Carolina, you do. North Carolina, you do. Illinois, a little different story. But you get my point there. And then on the national level, I would like to see more legislative creativity, more legislative leadership, more legislative bipartisanship. You start talking about birthday wishes. Man, I wish that the Republican Party would start projecting an image of leadership that embraces the non-traditional voter for the Republican Party. And that may come from an elected official. That may come from multiple elected officials like a Chris Christie and others, even though Chris Christie has his Bridgegate. But I think Bridgegate's going to go away soon. I talked about that enough. I talked about that again on Sunday. Go to LennyMcAllister.com if you missed Al Jazeera America 7:30 on Sunday morning. But I did get a chance to talk about that there, and I think he'll survive that. It may be elected officials. It may be public officials. It may be former elected officials. But one birthday wish, and you should wish this too. Even if you're not a Republican, you should wish this too. Because if there's a lack of political competition in America, if there's a lack of political competition in your state where you live right now, if there's a lack of political competition in your city or town or village, the chances of there being the best legislative ideas, the best approaches to fixing the things that ail your communities, it just won't happen. It's just not going to be there. Competition allows cream to rise to the top. You got to do it in a respectful way. You got to do it in a persistent way. And you got to do it in a focused way, focused on the goals, focused on we are here to serve other people. We just don't have that anymore. You know, one of the sound bites from the theme song is, we need to get back to the model of humble servant leadership that we used to see in politics. That is something that is my wish. I mean, I hope that as we do these podcasts and, sometimes I get a little angry or get a little self-deprecating or make a joke or I got to tolerate Dennis Rodman singing me happy birthday or any of those other crazy things that end up transpiring that ride the line of entertainment versus information. I hope that everything that I reflect, and this is the birthday wish that I have moving forward with people that I talk to, people that I touch, and people that represent me in government and in the public eye. I hope that we're taking the focus, the perspectives, the journey, the walk, the pathway. I'm hoping that it all leads back to that model. Humble servant leadership. That is what that's what I want to see. That's my birthday wish. Because if we can get that in the halls of government, we will fight the right way, because we don't fight the right way anymore. You go read Twitter, you will see, as partisans, we don't fight the right way. If you go watch the cable news channels, any place for the most part, you will see we don't fight the right way as politicos and politicians. We don't understand what it's like to be a melting pot anymore. A melting pot is full of different ingredients that come together and under the right conditions create something unique and flavorful that's beneficial for those that partake in it. When do we do that as a country? That's my birthday wish, to go back to being that melting pot, embracing all the ingredients and having it be good for those that partake in America. I know it's grandiose, but I just have to be that guy that believes that these things can still happen. I believe in a redeeming God. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it over the course of my lifetime. I see it on my birthday. And if I'm talking to you tomorrow, that means the birthday cake wasn't too buttery or sweet or sour or thick or anything else. So that means I got redeemed there too. That's what my birthday wish is. What's yours? What do you want for your birthday moving forward for this nation, for your communities, and for your family? You know where to find me on Twitter, LennyMcAllister on Facebook. Hit me up there. In the meanwhile, I will talk to you mañana. We'll get back into the grind. But I just wanted to thank you for sharing my birthday with me, sharing good times with me over the years, over the months, over the days. Thank you for engaging me. I love you, and I look forward to doing this once again tomorrow and keep moving forward as one big team. Talk to you soon. TCNGB. Take care and God bless. Peace.